Mauricio Pochettino deserves to be sacked, but that won't solve Chelsea's biggest problems. The Argentine is failing miserably to make the most out of the resources at his disposal, but the club's clueless owners are also culpable. Chelsea were booed off at the break in Sunday's dire 4-2 loss to Wolves, and again when the full-time whistle blew at Stamford Bridge. Mauricio Pochettino acknowledged the fans' frustration afterwards. "We feel sorry and want to apologize," the Argentine told reporters. "We are disappointed like them, but we need to keep fighting together until the end. If we want good results in the future, we need to stay together and during the game, work together and try to get the result. After the game, they will be right to criticize or be angry if the performance is not good." Sunday's showing was a lot worse than that, though. It was "ficking shit," as some supporters sang. Chelsea were badly beaten in a mid-table encounter, outclassed by a team that hadn't won at Stamford Bridge since 1979, and the defeat obliterated the argument being bandied about that the Blues are improving under Pochettino. If Wednesday's mauling at Liverpool showed just how far Chelsea are off challenging for the title again, being given the runaround by Wolves proved that even qualifying for the Europa Conference League is likely to be too big an ask for the biggest underachievers in world football. No proof of progress. Of course, some have attempted to defend Pochettino by pointing out that he is working in a rather chaotic environment, but he knew exactly what he was getting into. It's also been argued that time was always going to be required to turn a squad containing so many new and young players into a top-4 team, and that's unquestionably true. However, patience requires proof of progress, and Pochettino isn't providing any. His Chelsea side have as many points after 23 games as Potter did at the same stage last season. It's not just about points either. The performances are just as poor, and have arguably been declining in quality since something resembling a purple patch in the autumn when the Blues drew with both Arsenal and Manchester City and beat a 9-man Tottenham. It's time to change. A couple of penalty calls undeniably went against Chelsea at Anfield last week, but Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, the most expensive central midfield pairing in history, were completely overrun, just as they were 4 days later against Wolves, resulting in the defense being torn to shreds on both occasions. Consequently, it came as no surprise to see Thiago Silva's wife take to social media after Sunday's shambles and declare, "It's time to change. If you wait any longer, it will be too late." If we're being generous, maybe she's referring to the reports that Pochettino is entertaining a switch to a 3-man defense. It seems far more likely, though, that she believes a change of manager is required to salvage the season. After all, before Pochettino took over, Chelsea hadn't shipped 4 goals in back-to-back league games since 1989. It's now happened twice in the space of 3 months. Mentally and physically weak. Evidently, the foundations of success are not being laid at Stamford Bridge. Pochettino's Blues are alarmingly brittle, both mentally and physically. As even the manager has admitted, cold Palmer aside, there is a worrying nervousness about the younger players that prohibits them from playing anything close to their potential, and it's clear that some members of the squad cannot cope with the strain of representing one of the most demanding clubs in world football. Again, though, it's his job to get the best out of the squad at his disposal, and he's failing miserably in that regard. Indeed, it's hard not to think that several other Premier League managers would be doing a far better job at Stamford Bridge. For starters, imagine what Ange Postecoglou and Unai Emery might be achieving at Tottenham and Aston Villa, had they been given even half of what Pochettino was allowed to spend last summer. Atmosphere threatening to turn toxic. Pochettino is incredibly fortunate, then, that his bosses are caught between a rock and a hard place. In any other circumstances, they would have definitely sacked him by now. After all, a Carabao Cup final appearance was not the objective this season. Getting back into the Champions League was considered the bare minimum. However, if Chelsea's owners do dismiss Pochettino, they'll have to deal with not only another massive payoff, but also even more accusations that They've absolutely no idea what they're doing. And that's the last thing they need in the current climate, which is threatening to turn toxic. Indeed, Chelsea's disgruntled fans didn't just offer amusingly honest take us on their team on Sunday, or sing the name of their beloved former manager Jose Mourinho, who is available after his recent dismissal at Roma. There were also numerous Roman Abramovich's chants concerning evidence for the club's current owners that while the fans are dealing with the current situation with an admirable level of self-deprecating humor, they are also acutely aware that Pochettino isn't even the biggest problem at Chelsea.